I think he's unlikely to get out, and that's because there is a presumption of keeping him there in detention. There are statutory reasons: dangerousness, obstruction of justice, risk of flight. They say, look, he has limitless funds. He can hop on his plane. He can go anywhere in the world. The defense says, look, he gave up his passport. He came to New York willingly. But then in court there, the prosecutor said even in his hotel room when he was arrested, they found drugs. Now, he hasn't been charged with that, but it just shows you, I think, that there are sort of a stew of issues going on here. And it's going to be hard for him, I think, to overcome that presumption today. Okay. That detention memo says that they talked to over 50 witnesses and or victims. Now, we don't know how many people will testify at trial. We don't know exactly how many acts those coordinate with, but it does give you a sense of the scope. They obviously got their hands on not only the drugs and all the weapons, but they have other cooperators, at least as it appears to that indictment, because they're talking about the business enterprise, knowing a lot about how the business works. So we'll see what comes out of it today, but I think it's pretty clear that they have a mountain of evidence. Obviously, he, though, maintains his innocence.
Sean Combs has now had a federal judge in Manhattan deny his request to have bail set in his federal sex trafficking case. His attorneys put out as many different stipulations as they could, offering up their passports, not only of Diddy, but also of his children, saying that he would not be in contact with witnesses and that he wouldn't even have female visitors come to his home, in addition to willingly taking weekly drug tests, and the judge denied it in whole. Why? Well, number one, it was because in the federal system, the notion of bail is not a condition, as it is in the state system, of someone's ability to pay, but rather the threat that they pose to the community. And because these actions took place indoors, there's no way for the state to supervise what Diddy is doing. And in addition to that, the idea that Diddy had already been pressuring witnesses was going to tamper with the investigation that the Fed said was ongoing. And that, of anything else, is probably the most important piece to what we're talking about here, because you can absolutely expect that if the investigation is ongoing, there's going to be more arrests, there's going to be more evidence, and all of this spells really bad news for Diddy going forward.
Judge denying bail again in his sex trafficking case. Chloe Melas is with us. Chloe, a major blow to the music mogul.
It is. That's right, Lester. This is now the second time that Sean Combs has been denied bail in his federal sex trafficking case. In court, prosecutors arguing that Combs is a danger to the community, and they said that they feared Combs would intimidate witnesses if released on bail. Now, Combs' attorneys argued today that the Brooklyn jail where he is being held, which once housed Michael Cohen and Ghislaine Maxwell, had horrific conditions that were not appropriate for a pretrial detention. But tonight, the judge was not persuaded, and now Combs will remain behind bars until trial, which is likely not to begin for at least a year. And if convicted, he faces a maximum sentence of life behind bars. Lester.
All right, Chloe, thank you.
Oh, my producer just told me in my ear he has been ordered held again. Okay, so the Judge Andrew Carter has decided that Sean Diddy Combs will be held again in a federal facility.